Hello and welcome to a matter of fact on the edge. Well, a fact according to Benchmade anyway. So what we have here is the Benchmade 417 fact. It had to come, I guess. Right, so the Benchmade fact, interesting looking, long, slender, sort of stiletto, to say silhouette, stiletto shape to this knife. Right, guys, so what I'm going to do is, as usual, I'm going to be doing materials, dimensions, and weight, and then we'll speak a little bit about this, I think, quite attractive looking knife. But then I always think that, don't I? So what we have here is a blade steel of CPM S30V, so very good blade steel. Handle made from billet aluminium, and that's 6061T6 aluminium to be precise, anodized black. Clip is stainless steel. Screws, lock tabs, all that sort of thing, liners, that is all, so it does have stainless steel liners, all of that is stainless steel, and then we've got a pivot that is made with phosphor bronze washers. Right, dimensions and weight. Length of blade is 10.03 centimeters or 3.95 inches. Blade thickness is 2.8 millimeters or 0.11 inches. Handle thickness is 12.19 millimeters or 0.48 inches. Closed length of this long knife is 12.12 centimeters or 4.77 inches. And then overall length is, flick that out, oh, nice action. Overall length is 22.15, as I almost stabbed my thumb, 22.15 centimeters or 8.72 inches. And then weight, let's check weight of this knife. I've got the scale here, let's quickly pop that on and get it centered up. I've got Benchmade stated weights, but as I always do, I will check what those weights are on my scale. And I actually did clean this scale, and one review later, and it's covered in fingerprints again. Right, weight, grams, is 90 grams. Okay, so they said 91.85, a little bit less than their stated weight, and that is in ounces, 3.2, and they've got 3.24 ounces. So I guess close enough not to argue about that. Right, now let's get this knife back open and have a look. And so, as I said up front, it has an overall kind of silhouette. It's a new word. It's the silhouette of a stiletto. So let's try that again. Overall, it has a stiletto type shape. That long, slender, and a very, very stabby blade. So the blade is a spear point, quite obviously. And we've got a long swedge running from the thumb tab almost to the tip of the blade. It stops just short of the tip of the blade. Flat grind on the main grind, not particularly deep, but that's probably typical of of this type of spear point, of a stiletto type blade. And then you can see the swedge that runs up and then stretches forward almost to copy the shape of the overall blade, but between the swedge and the main grind. A little bit of jimping on the back, so you've got some purchase for your thumb when you get hold of the knife, and then quite tall thumb tabs on either side, thumb studs on either side. But that does mean that when you are deploying the knife, it's very easy to get hold of those and flick that. And as I said, that's got a really, really good action. Nice, decently sized sharpening choil. What's better, like that or like that? A sharpening choil on the knife as well. So easy enough to sharpen this. Nothing complicated about getting that sharp. The edge out the box is sort of typical of Benchmade, so quite rough but uniform and sharp out of the box. Finish on that blade, by the way, is stone wash, but then on that ricasso that stretches forward, if I get the light at the right angle, sometimes battle with it, you can see it's that part of it has got, I hope you can see, that part of it's got a satin finish to it, so you do get a little bit of contrast happening on that blade that is also very, very attractive. Right, so the handle itself also long and slender. So milled out of that billet aluminium, and that shaping to it, that sort of profiling to it, is like a wave shape, almost, well, I guess like corrugated iron, except that you've got little peaks on their high points. But that does give really nice purchase as well when you get hold of the knife. In fact, while I've got it at that angle, let's have a look at that. So my medium-sized hands, I've mentioned I wear a large glove, plenty of room on that. So bigger hands, very easily going to get onto the knife. And then the little landing pad there for your thumb on that jimping. Right, so the finish really beautiful on this. So it is, as I mentioned, anodized, but it's got a matte finish to that, slightly rough finish to that handle that does really feel good. And then these cutouts in the handle that go right through the liner as well. And I suspect that is more for aesthetics. I mean, it would make this knife lighter, obviously, but I would imagine that that's just an added benefit to it, really, because it does add something to the aesthetic of the knife. Really, really beautifully done. And then the whole edge of that handle is chamfered. You look at the overall shape of that as well. Let's maybe just lay that in my hands like that. You can see the spine of the handle is just about flat, straight. It's like the slightest curve to it. And then we've got the shaping on the front of the handle, on that part of the handle that really does make it feel good in hand. That little bit of shaping obviously provides some protection for your finger when you're using this as well, so that your finger doesn't slide onto the edge of the blade. The usual axis lock, and man, should I even try it? Always, and I figured out why I screw it up. It's the angle that I am sitting and the limited space that I have. I always get the angle wrong, and then I always battle with the fidget toyness of an axis lock. But basically, it's like any axis lock. You flick it open, you pull the tabs back, you flick it open, you pull those back again, and you close it. Wow, it actually worked there. Let's see if I can get it right that way. Well, not quite. There. And it's funny, I get it out from under the camera and I stand up and I can do it perfectly. You don't have to believe me, but it is the case. It's my story and I'm sticking to it. Right, so the rest of the construction, I mentioned that it does have liners. So you've got that billet aluminium on either side, but then there are stainless steel liners to give the knife just that extra bit of strength, which I think is probably a good idea because the overall shape is so slender. There's not a lot of material to give the knife that extra bit of strength. Torques all around, so easy enough to get into this knife. And let's just speak a little bit about that pocket clip. So we've got a tip-up carry, a deep carry. You can see it's a loop-around style pocket clip that sits level with the top of the knife. So that in pocket, you're going to be seeing the pocket clip, and that is all you're going to be seeing. The little gap there, as per usual, so that you can get to the Torx screws. And why would you want to get to those Torx screws? Because this is a reversible pocket clip. Nice what they've done here as well. So you've got that shaping, that sort of profiling mold into that titanium. That's not titanium, that's aluminium. So if you look on the other side there, those sort of shapes have been molded away to give you a flat surface for that pocket clip to sit into. So it means that it is slightly countersunk, or at least below that profiling. But they've done the same around the pocket clip over there. So, where the front of the pocket clip hits the handle, it's also been cleared away a little bit. I think that's just really nice attention to detail on that. So really nicely done. Overall, a very, very neat, very tidy knife. I actually really do like it. It's one of those, again, where, it might not attract your attention. This sort of thing might appeal to you, but it didn't really attract my attention in the shelf. But you get it into your hand and you realize that it is really beautifully designed and beautifully put together. And this particular knife really does have, I'm going to do it with the thumb tabs because I can't do the other flick thing under the camera, as I've mentioned, but a really, really beautiful action, as axis locks so often are. The only negative thing I can find on it, and it's, I've mentioned this in other reviews, so many Benchmade knives come out the box brand new, and then the blade centering is off. And this one you can see is actually quite a bit off. Now, again, if you know what you're doing, you can probably adjust that and get it straightened up. But, really a knife at this price point from Benchmade, an established brand, a brand with a good name, a brand that is not inexpensive, that should be right out the box. So, if other manufacturers can consistently do it right, and I kind of, dare I say it, consistently see Benchmade's blade centering a little bit off. Now, it doesn't affect the knife in any way. So if you're just going to use the knife and the way that it operates, it doesn't affect it. I mean, the rest of the knife is beautifully put together, but it does irritate me a little bit when, when you get that sort of thing on a knife. Guys, I think I've pretty much covered off everything. Maybe the only other thing to mention is there is another option on this knife as well. So you get one with a black coated blade as well. I quite like this. I like the contrast between the black and that blade. But I think I've covered off everything on the knife. I don't think I've forgotten anything, as it is so often my habit to do. We'll see if we can get through one video without having to put a note on the bottom. But yeah, guys, a knife that feels really good in hand. It's for such a small and slender knife, it actually really does feel very solid in your hand, and you get good purchase on that, and it all over does really feel good. It's just that little blade centering thing. Let me say it one more time. So guys, let's just lay that down again, and once again let me just say my thank yous. Once again, thanks to Blades and Triggers. Really do appreciate their support of the channel. Without them I wouldn't be able to get all these interesting and diverse knives onto the channel, so I do really appreciate them allowing me to take knives out from their stock and mess around with them for a few days to form an opinion. This and many other knives you can see on their website, BNT Online. And I think that only leaves size comparisons for me to do. So I will do the knives that I always use, simply because I think people are probably familiar with them because they've been around for so long. And the first one is the Spyderco Manix 2. Right, to give you a sense of that. The other one I've been using is the Medford Slim Midi. Again, so you can see longer than those knives. Right, there's that. And the Benchmade Mini Barrage. Right, a little bit of perspective on that. And then the other one I've used in a few reviews. Now it seems to come up quite often when I want to do a size comparison for a long, slender knife or a knife that has a specific look, and that is the Wee Array. And you can see the shape of those two knives, very, very similar. Also long, slender. This is a frame lock flipper tab opening knife, but also good looking knife. Right, let's get the show side of those two while we're... Earthquake! Okay, so that's me bashing my camera. Let's allow that to stabilize. Right, there we go. So there's those two knives on the show sides. I suppose on the Benchmade it really is almost both sides are show side. Right, guys, and I think that's it. It covers off everything on the knife. Oh, maybe what I didn't mention there is those little cutouts on there have also really nice chamfering on the inside of the handles as well. So again, nice little attention to detail. But yeah, good looking knife if you're looking for something slender. I think maybe a little bit long for a gentleman's carry, depending on your work environment and what you wear, but probably a little bit big to consider a gentleman's folder. But a good looking, very tidy knife, maybe a little murderous with that long stiletto shaped blade, but yeah, very, very tidy design, good looking knife, nicely constructed, guys. And I think that is it. Once again, I just need to say thank you so much for joining me. I really do always appreciate it when you do. And as I always do say, I would really appreciate it if you haven't, to please hit that subscribe button, because between that and, of course, the what's the other one that notifies you when a new... when a new video is being launched. Oh, I've lost it. But as I always do say, I would really appreciate you joining me more often and let me quit while I'm ahead. Maybe I'm not anymore. But that is just about it. So other than that, you go well and God bless.